Okay, well, so what this video is going to be about is installing these Mark's 43% reduction gears into a Nissan Patrol. It's going into a GU, which is a TX12A transfer case. There's lots on the internet in relation to the gears themselves. There's only a couple of pictures of actually the transfer case, and there's no videos of them being fitted. Now, I'm not a mechanic, so as you've seen in my other videos, I just make stuff myself, so I'm just going to give this one a crack. So I'm not going to show you actually pulling the transfer case out, because if you can't do that, then you probably shouldn't be putting the gears in. But I'll show you some tools that I made to make it easier after 20 years or something of pulling gearboxes out just with a trolley jack and rocking it round. I've had enough of it. So in relation to this, I made my own cradle, which will actually do the whole gearbox, but this is just set up just for the transfer case itself. Yes, I could have paid $80 and just bought one, but it would have been a little bit too high for the clearance, so I'm doing it in my driveway. And this cost me nothing. Just out of bits of steel that I had. So it's got obviously these brackets. You can put them in different spots. There's other ones you can put in. This will just sit on the back of the transfer case. This will sit on the side of the transfer case. It swivels. The tilt I don't mind because the car is actually on a slope. And the second item that I just made up just for this is just a spanner to hold the drive pinion when I'm torquing and untorquing the bolts on that. So that's nothing but just a big machined spanner. The reason for the slots is so I build it once, so I can do all my yokes on the four-wheel drive if I ever need to. And if not, I can smack myself on the bum for being a naughty boy. So, no worries. So I'm going to get into taking the gearbox out, or the transfer case out. That's all I'm taking out, and then we'll get back onto the table. Right, so I've removed the transfer case out of the Patrol. This is a TX12A transfer case. As I said before, can't find any video on them being disassembled, so I don't know what's inside. Well, I do know what's inside. You can look at the manual. I'm just going to follow the Mark's instructions. So the first instruction, which was just done off the start, is taking out the 3 switches. There's 1, 2, 3. They're very hard to get out. I think they're a 19mm, but they round off very easily, so it's hard to actually get them out. The next step is to remove the indents from the selector. So I've just got to take this bracket off first, just to get to the indent. And then we've got 2 indent nuts. Okay, so just looking at these are siliconed in. Well, they've got a silicon sealant on the edge. Okay. And just so I keep everything in order, I'm just going to bag everything as I go. Okay, it's one ball. Take the bottom one out. The ball's fallen out of that one on the ground, which is great. Next we'll tackle is the front flange. I've already taken the nut. The front nut's a 30mm nut, the rear's a 32, and I think I'm going to need a press for this, obviously. Okay, so just go over the tap with the hammer and the slight tap as you're pulling, and it pulls off, so you don't need a press for that one. So I'll put that aside. Now we'll take out the rear one. Okay, now I'll take off the 4 bolts holding the parking brake on. Alright, just a bit lazy, so use the air impact. Right, so I've already taken out some of the front bearing, input bearing retainer and seal. Taken out some of the bolts already, so now just remove the rest of those. Now these bolts have all got some silicone sealant. I don't know if this is going where it's on the flange, but they've got sealant on them, so I'll make sure they've got sealant on them. They actually go through the transfer case. And that's your front bearing retainer. Now the silicone pattern seems to go from there all around the outside. It goes through there, doesn't touch this centerpiece. There's obviously a drain in the bottom for the oil to come through the top and the bottom, and just around the outside edges. So that'll need to be cleaned off with a razor blade. Don't scratch it. And then we've got the front. Okay, now you can pull the front input shaft out. There's 2 split bearings behind it, needle bearings. They'll drop, but they should only drop and land on the gear. That's what I hope. Or alternatively, if you lift the back up, so they hopefully come out. And So there's one. The other one's fallen in the case. I'll just put that aside and I'll see if I can get that other one out. And there's the other. So you've got these two split needle bearings that sit inside that input shaft. Now this is a part you're replacing, the input shaft. So you need to take that circlip off, which we'll do shortly. I'm actually going to put a new bearing onto it, and there's a spacer in the Marks kit which isn't actually on this bearing. And there's a Welsh plug that goes in the back, and when I get to that part I'll stick that together. So I'll put that aside. Okay. Now so you've got the input shaft here, I think it's the idler is down the bottom here, that's a replacement part, and then there'll be a low range gear that you've got to change. Now you can see in there the selector ring moving backwards and forwards. Now I'm pretty sure this can go on one or two ways, potentially, if I put it on backwards. So I'm just having a look to see what's the profile. Obviously this meshes in with the it meshes in with this front gear and locks in. So you can see there's a bevel. Of course we're replacing that. You can see there's actually a bevel leading in on this where it actually slides in to lock that front gear in. I don't know how well that shows up in with the torch. So it's more so just for my reference on what that's going to look like. I'm pretty sure the way I read it, most of the stuff's in this front section of the case. So if you look at the case, you got the front, you got the middle section in here, and then you got the back section. Unfortunately, you got to take the back section off to take the front off, because these bolts which hold the front section on, there's another 3 bolts internally on this side, but you've got to come from the back. So the next step is I'll take the back off so I can get to all the bolts in one go. Right, so we've now spun it back round to the back. That's just a breather tube there. Now there's 17 bolts holding the back to the front, which is a good way to be, or back to the middle. So we're going to now take those off. There's obviously a dowel. There's a dowel here on the side. There's a dowel here on this side over here, and we should be right to go. So we've taken 2 off, and try and keep these in some form of order, because obviously they're all going to be different lengths. Okay, so just as I took out those the rear case bolts, as I say, there's 17 bolts, all different lengths. I'm sure you could work out which one goes where, but they're all over the shop. So just in a piece of cardboard, I've just made a reference, so that's the 4-drive switch. So above it's number 1, works its way around number 17. They're in their order, and hopefully I'm just going to put them back together in the order. Okay, so the back cut part of the case is silicon onto the front case, put all the bolts out. There's an ear here, an ear here, obviously a lever point there. So there's a dowel there, compressor, there's a dowel over here, and then there's another ear down there that you can tap on. So I'll start off with the dead blow hammer first, and we'll see what that does. If it doesn't work, we'll go to the brass hammer. Okay, so it's just starting to separate. just obviously sitting on this back bearing here, so just try and wrestle it one-handed. Okay, so easy to come off just once you break that surface. Just that last bit I was, well, not wrestling with, just manipulating off, was just this bearing retainer. It's not a hard fit, just got to line it up. Now this is why you've got to take the rear cover off, as you've got these 3 bolts that hold the front section onto the middle section. So I'm pretty sure I can keep the drive chain on, and I don't have to change anything there. I'm not too sure if I've got to pull out this oil tube, but I'll pull it out anyway, so I don't break it. It's only plastic. And now I'll get to undoing these, and that should then hopefully, after I take out these bottom ones, is separate the front case. Okay, so I've just got 6 bolts on the holding the front case on. So, show you the right socket.